Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex here, and today we are here with a preview of the next round of the Formula 1 Championship in 2013 from Singapore. Now, we go into this championship with Sebastian Vettel winning the last couple of races and ending up with a pretty big points haul at the top of the championship. He currently leads the Formula 1 World Championship with 222 points. The nearest challenger is Fernando Alonso on 169 points, with Lewis Hamilton in third, Kimi Raikkonen in fourth, and Mark Webber in fifth. Now, there's quite a close battle in the championship between Hamilton, Raikkonen and Webber. They're separated by 11 points, so it's going to be interesting to see out of those three who comes out on top in the next couple of rounds. We also have Rosberg, Massa, Grosjean, Button and the rest in the top 10 in the championship. And the last race we saw Ricciardo and Hulkenberg move up the standings into 13th and 14th respectively. Now, last year's Singapore Grand Prix wasn't exactly a thriller, but we do remember Lewis Hamilton retiring from that race whilst in the lead of the race, which really started the sort of thoughts that he wasn't going to be able to go for the 2012 championship. That was a string of bad luck from Hamilton, which really put him out of contention for that 2012 championship. He was leading that race. He was most likely going to win that race, even though Sebastian Vettel was chasing hard. Lewis Hamilton had lost his race pretty much in the bag, but another failure from the McLaren meant that once again he didn't get to the finish, and once again meant he couldn't challenge for the championship, as that was sort of a bit of bad luck, that sort of area of the season for Lewis Hamilton. And he ended up getting pole position, but he just didn't end up getting to the end of the race due to a car problem. Last year's fastest lap, however, was Nico Hulkenberg, showing that anyone can get this fastest lap, and it's a very sort of weird one where you can put on tyres near the end of the race. I mean, he got that fastest lap on lap 52 of the race, which is pretty much the end of the race, so you know, you can put on some tyres at the end of the race and get a good result. But last year in qualifying we saw Pastor Maldonado do well. He got second place on the grid, but it was Lewis Hamilton by nearly half a second who got the pole position last year. If we look at the race, Sebastian Vettel did end up getting the win. This race was just over 2 hours long, but he did get the win over Jenson Button in the second place. I think for the last couple of years Sebastian Vettel has won, and then second place has been Jenson Button. Fernando Alonso has always gone well in Singapore. He might not have the car this year to go for the win, but he can most likely get up there and challenge for some good points once again, and maybe a podium is probably on the cards for him this year. But we all know Fernando Alonso, he can pull out a result out the bag even if the car isn't that great, so I expect him to be up there challenging for a podium. Last year he only finished 15 seconds off Sebastian Vettel, but I think the standout performer last year for me at least was Paul di Resta, coming home in 4th position, only 4 seconds behind Fernando Alonso. A huge race for Paul di Resta, cementing himself as one of the greats in this year's and last year's championship. Obviously this year's Force India isn't really amazing. It probably can't really get up there in the top 5 or 6, especially at this stage of the season where Force India are sort of struggling with development and the tyres. And I don't think Force India can be up there, but I do think Adrian Sutil and Paul di Resta are worthy of positions like 4th, 5th and maybe even a podium at some point this year. They have drove quite well this year, and I hope to see Force India on the podium once again. Obviously it'll be the second time they ever get onto the podium if they can make it on the podium this year. Obviously their only other podium was Spa 2009 when Fisichella got second position. But Rosberg last year finished in 5th position. He was only 1 second ahead of Kimi Raikkonen. Kimi Raikkonen in turn was only about 1 second ahead of Grosjean, so it was an alright weekend for Lotus last year. Nothing really spectacular, just a pretty much average weekend. 6th and 7th is pretty much where we expect Lotus to be on the usual. But obviously in front of them last year we saw a Force India and a Mercedes, which last year wasn't too much of a common sight. Mercedes wasn't the strongest car last year, but obviously it did bag a win, but it wasn't really the most consistent car over the year. And I think we are seeing that this year. I think we can start to see the Mercedes sort of dropping off a little bit. I'm not 100% sure that's down to the circuits we're going to or what, but I don't think that the current Mercedes we're seeing now has the same sort of pace we saw in Hungary, and when obviously Lewis Hamilton got his win. I think it's dropped off a little bit since then. Let me know what you think about that, guys. I might be completely wrong on that, but that's what I see from the outside. Felipe Massa ended up 8th last year, with Daniel Ricciardo finishing 9th. Sergio Perez finishing 10th in that race, Mark Webber not having the best of races, finishing 11th, and Timo Glock finishing in 12th position, which in turn was really where Marussia stamped their authority last year. This was the race where they beat Saubers, they beat Force Indias, and they also beat the other Caterhams, and obviously his teammate Charles Peake. So this could be a race where we see a lot of drama and a lot of accidents. Last year we saw a lot of people fall out of the race. Only 16 cars on the lead lap last year, so I suppose that's not too bad, but I think about good 5 or 6 people ended up retiring from the race last year, and which is never nice to see. I mean, you always want to see all the cars come to the finish, but last year we saw Hamilton, Carter, Maldonado, Vern Schumacher, and also Senna not getting to the flag, which is a bit disappointing. And hopefully this year we get to see everyone come to the flag. But obviously this is a street track, so obviously we know that accidents can happen, especially in Formula 1. Obviously, hopefully we won't see any accidents, but it might be quite likely as we are getting so close to the wall here in Singapore. But that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and yeah, be sure to leave your comments, maybe like the video if you enjoyed, and yeah, be sure to put your comments down below. I'll try and reply to as many as possible. Thanks for watching. It's been Alex, and I'm out here. Goodbye.